Okay. So can you tell me where did you stop in the last class? Repo is done. एक बार दिखाना. Okay, you can keep this. You're able to recall what all things we covered with respect to repo? याद है? Okay. Revise नहीं कर रहे हो फिर? Okay. So what we'll do? Yeah, please come. हाँ हाँ. So you can write down the topic under repo itself. Under repo, the first top will be covering types of repo. Types of repo. Okay. With respect to repo, a quick revision. We discussed that repo is basically a tool under which banks borrow money from RBI, right? So there are basically two legs of transaction under repo, where you have a bank and the RBI. To borrow money, the bank will sell the government securities. By selling government securities, the bank will borrow money. So this is the first leg of the transaction. In the second leg, it is just doing the reverse. It is repurchasing the government security. By repurchasing government security, it is paying back the borrowed money along with the interest. This interest, what it is paying to the RBI, that itself we call it as repo rate. I hope this much you are able to recall, right? So we'll take it forward and discuss the types of repo now. You can write down repo here refers to the loans given by the RBI to the banks. Repo here refers to the loans given by the RBI to the banks. Full stop. Depending upon the duration and the rate of interest. Depending upon the duration and the rate of interest, comma, repos can be of different types. Repo can be of different types. Okay. See here, what I've dictated is, when you see the word repo, understand repo just like a loan now. It's a loan which RBI is giving to the banks. The loan can be given for different duration, and the loan can be given at a different rate of interest. Depending upon duration and rate of interest, we have different types of repo. That is what we're going to cover. So please try to understand the difference between repo rate and repo. What is repo rate? Repo rate is a interest at which the banks borrow money from RBI. This is repo rate. We're not discussing repo rate. We are discussing what? Repo. So repo here is basically a kind of loan. Fine. So there are basically two types of repo. One is variable rate repo, and the second one is fixed rate repo. Okay. Here, when we say variable rate repo, normally the duration of this variable rate repo is generally right now it is short term. And I told you in economy, whenever we say short term, it is referring to less than 1 year, right? एक second. Okay. Now coming to the duration. Duration is short term. And when you see rate of interest, I told you do not confuse between repo rate. है ना? We are talking about repo. When we say rate of interest, this rate of interest is decided through auction. So what actually happens is, if you are a bank, right, and if I am RBI, you cannot come and ask me money whenever you want to. It is not available at your discretion. It is always available at the discretion of the RBI. So when RBI feels like giving loans, only then you can come and take the loans from the RBI, right? So in variable rate repo, what you should know is repo is available at RBI's discretion. And what happens is RBI will announce a repo auction. And in this repo auction, RBI will denote the amount as well as it will also denote the duration. So here RBI is saying how much money it is willing to lend and for how long it is going to lend. When it comes to duration, right, I told you the duration is always short term, less than 1 year, right? So the duration could be like 1 day, 7 day, 14 day, 28 day, and now even we have a 56 day repo. This is the highest so far. It has not gone beyond 56, but if it want, it can go also. But usually this is the frequency: 1, 7, 14, 28, and 56. And as far as the amount is concerned, right, this amount will be notified by RBI. Okay. So what is remaining now? Rate of interest, right? So here RBI will invite bids in terms of interest which banks are willing to pay. How much interest the banks are willing to? हाँ please write down. क्या देख रहे हो फिर? ऊपर का, ठीक है। Which class was going on for your batch until now? It's done, completed. Huh. For both, it is at the discretion of the RBI. Done? Okay. So here, what is happening is, as you can see, if I am RBI, I'm asking you guys to place a bid in terms of how much interest you are willing to pay for the loans which you are taking for a specified duration. So what will happen here, if you are required to place a bid, how much interest will you ask for? Huh? You'll ask for 10%. How much you will ask for? 6, 7. Let me see who can last for the least. Huh? How much? Huh? आप ही हो? Huh? Ashu, right? Huh, Ashu. Huh? How much you'll ask for? I'm asking you, I'm willing to pay you loans. ठीक है? And I'm asking you as to how much interest are you willing to pay to me? This is my question. 4% क्यों मांगोगे आप? आप तो 0% मांग सकती हो, right? Why are you saying 4%? Huh? Least possible. And what is that least possible? Zero, right? So if all the banks come together, form a kind of cartel, and they say, please give us loans at 0% rate of interest, right? So that will be a huge loss for the RBI in that case. So RBI is also equally clever. So when it says that banks are required to bid in terms of interest rate, RBI will say that bid rate cannot be lower or equal to the repo rate. The bid rate, it says it cannot be lower or equal to repo rate as well. And I told you how to look at the latest the policy rates, right? So you just have to go to the RBI's website. So if you go to RBI's website, no, on this side, you have the policy rates, and you can see what is the repo rate now. 5.50. This is the repo rate. It means RBI is saying you cannot ask for interest rate which is equal to 5.5 or below 5.5. It has to be more than 5.5. So now different banks, when they place bids for, so they'll always ask for more than 5.5, है ना? So it may so happen that bank X may say 5.75. Bank Y might say 6%, and Bank Z might say 6.25. So, to whom will RBI allocate this particular repo? Z, highest bidder. हो गया? चार्ज था, ठीक है. Is this clear? Okay. So, repo is allocated to the highest bidder, that is Bank Z. This is how the variable repo works. Take it down. Okay. Let's see what is this fixed rate repo. Now just pay attention. Right now, we don't have this fixed rate repo. The fixed rate repo was introduced for very brief period of time during the COVID-19 pandemic, only for short span of time. What was the need to introduce this fixed rate repo? Imagine I am RBI and you are the banks. During COVID, can I say there was a kind of slowdown? During slowdown, what should happen to money supply in the economy? During slowdown, what should happen to money supply? Money supply reduces, that is why it is leading to slowdown. So what should happen to money supply? Money supply should increase, na? भूल गए सब कुछ. Expansionary policy, right? So money supply should increase. Imagine if RBI goes for variable rate repo during COVID-19, what will happen is the rate at which RBI will give loans to the banks will always be more than the repo rate. But RBI thought if we give loans at more than repo rate, banks might not come forward to take the loans and the money supply might not increase. Is that part clear? Obviously, like if RBI is giving loans at a higher rate of interest, banks will think, why should I take loans? Especially when there is so much of slowdown. But how we can encourage the banks to take loans is by giving loans at a less rate of interest. That is when RBI came up with this idea of fixed rate repo. Under this fixed rate repo, here what is important is, if you look at the duration of fixed rate repo, it ranged from 1 year to 3 years. 1 year to 3 years. Which means RBI gave loans for 1 year to up to maximum of 3 years. But like I said, it was applicable only during COVID, not after that. Right now, we have only one type of repo. What is that? Variable rate repo. It was applicable only during COVID. And if you see the rate of interest here, rate of interest was equal to the existing repo rate. That's it. Whatever is the existing repo rate, at that particular rate, RBI gave loans. So write a note after this. Note. The long term fixed rate repos were introduced. The long term fixed rate repos were introduced by the RBI during the COVID-19 pandemic. During the COVID-19 pandemic. Full stop. However, they have been discontinued now. However, they have been discontinued now. ठीक है? You can write down the next one. Next tool. We are done with the repo. Next tool here is MSF, Marginal Standing Facility. Marginal Standing Facility. Marginal Standing Facility. Okay. Pay attention now. Let's say this is a particular bank. We discussed that bank will accept some deposits from the depositors. After accepting deposit, some percentage of deposits it will maintain with the Reserve Bank of India, RBI. Yes, what is it called as? CRR. This is CRR. In what form it is maintained? Cash, always cash. And there is some percentage of deposit which the bank will maintain with itself. उसको क्या बोलते हैं? SLR. And what form it is? Cash, gold and government securities. चलो बहुत ही अच्छे. Okay, cash, gold and government securities. Keeping this in mind, let's understand about repo and MSF. I told you that a bank will have two types of government securities. One type of government security is this government security which is part of SLR. And apart from this, it may also have certain excess government securities as well. That is in excess of SLR. For example, let's say the total deposit is equal to 100. 4 rupees cash, assuming CRR rate is 4%, we'll keep it the RBI. SLR, let's say it is 18%. It will keep 18 rupees in the form of this government security. And let's say this is additional around 50 rupees, just as an example. So what's the total government security the bank has? 50 plus 18, total is 68 worth government securities. So far, we have discussed what exactly is the repo. है ना? Under repo, we discussed that banks borrow money from RBI using government securities as a collateral. But there are two types of government securities. One government security which is part of SLR and one is in excess of SLR. Which one can it use as a collateral? excess wala. It can never use government security which is part of SLR, right? So it will use government securities which are in excess of SLR. What is the duration of repo right now? Generally, it is short term. For COVID time only, it was introduced for long term. Generally, it is, we discuss it is for 1 day, 7 day, 14, 28, and 56. Exactly. And if you see the rate, the interest rate, I told you it is generally higher than repo rate because it is decided through auction. And here, if you see minimum amount which the bank can borrow, it is equal to 1 crore. If bank wants to borrow money from RBI, minimum कितना borrow करना चाहिए? 1 crore. It cannot borrow less than 1 crore. Apart from that, we also say that there is no maximum limit. It can borrow how much ever it wants to. But you must understand, under repo, it is using government security which is in excess of SLR. Even though we say no maximum limit, it essentially means it can borrow only up to the government securities which is in excess of SLR. Yahan pe this bank, how much money it can borrow? It can borrow only 50. There is another bank. This bank has excess government security worth 200. It can borrow up to how much? 200. It depends upon how much is this particular value. Understood? Okay. Now, keeping this in mind, let's look at a scenario of what exactly is MSF. Please write down definition of MSF. Marginal standing facility. MSF is a tool. MSF is a tool through which banks borrow money from the RBI. Banks borrow money from the RBI for a period of 1 day. For a period of 1 day. Full stop. Banks usually go for MSF. Banks usually go for MSF when they do not have government securities, when they do not have government securities in excess of SLR. When they do not have government securities in excess of SLR. Full stop. Thus, under MSF, comma, banks use government securities. Banks use government securities which are part of SLR. Which are part of SLR. Clear hai? Understood? If bank does not has any money this side, if any government security this side, and if bank is in immediate need of money, the only option left for the bank is it has to use this government security which is part of SLR. So banks borrow money from RBI using government securities which are part of SLR. The duration of MSF is always 1 day. It will never change. It is always 1 day. And when you see the rate of MSF, okay, what is this rate? Will it be higher than repo or will it be lower than repo? Why? Risk for who? The reason is very simple. For 1 day, if bank is borrowing money by using this government security as a collateral, let's say it uses this 18 rupees as a collateral and then borrow money from RBI. Can I say that for 1 day, the bank is unable to maintain SLR? है ना? If it is unable to maintain SLR, कुछ ना कुछ penalty तो होना चाहिए. That is why the rate of interest is always 25 basis points. It is always 25 basis points higher than repo rate. Always. And what you should know here is 1 basis point is always equal to 0.01%. So 25 basis points will always become equal to 0.25. 100 basis points कितना होगा? 1%, 1%. It is always 25 basis points above the repo. So I told you repo is 5.50. So MSF, how much will that be? 5.75. And if repo changes to 6%, tab it will become 6.25. So no matter whatever is a repo rate, MSF will be 25 basis points above the repo rate. Getting this? Okay. Did you attempt a test on RBI? How was the test? Good? 100 questions. कैसे लगे? ज़्यादा hectic तो नहीं लगा? Because I want you to go through that particular grind of attempting 100 questions at a stretch. That's the reason I prepared those 100 questions. The idea is like, I just wanted to remind you, ये भी topic खत्म होने के बाद फिर से टेस्ट आने वाला है 100 क्वेश्चंस वाला, तो प्रिपेयर करना स्टार्ट कर दो, ठीक है? एंड दिस इज, आई टोल्ड यू, वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट चैप्टर. एंड यू नो द ग्राइंड, राइट? यू विल आल्सो हैव द क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम RBI. ओके, चलो, लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक. रिवर्स रेपो. रिवर्स रेपो हाँ, just add maximum limit on MSF. Maximum limit on MSF is 2% of NDTL. maximum limit on MSF is 2% of NDTL. याद है NDTL? ठीक है. So whatever is the NDTL of the bank for that particular day, उस दिन का क्या NDTL है? A bank can borrow only up to 2% of that NDTL. If NDTL is equal to 100 rupees for that day, bank can borrow only 2 rupees. It is not allowed to use its entire SLR securities. Understand? Okay. So look at this question. Both repo and MSF are used by the RBI to inject money into the economy. It is right because RBI is lending loans only, na? Both under repo and MSF. The only difference is under repo the duration could be 1 day, 7 day, 14 day, 28 day, or 56 day. MSF the duration is only 1 day. Otherwise, both are used to give loans. The banks can use government securities which are part of SLR to borrow money from the RBI under repo. They cannot use government security which is part of SLR. Repo rate is always higher than MSF. Which one is higher? MSF is higher. There is no limit on borrowings through repo and MSF. On repo, there is no limit. On repo, there is no limit. है ना? But there is a limit on MSF. I just now dictated it is 2% of NDTL. Under MSF, banks borrow money only for 1 day. It is true. So let's move to the next one, reverse repo. Okay, right. Reverse repo is a tool. Reverse repo is a tool under which RBI accepts deposits from the RBI, from the banks. From the banks. The rate at which RBI accepts the deposits, the rate at which RBI accepts the deposits is called as reverse repo rate. Is called as the reverse repo rate. Next, continue. Next para. Under reverse repo, there are two legs of transactions. Under reverse repo, there are two legs of transactions. Right under this first leg of transaction. Banks deposit money with the RBI. Banks deposit money with the RBI. Full stop. In return, the RBI keeps government security as a collateral. In return, the RBI keeps government security as a collateral with the bank. Okay. Second leg, second leg, the RBI repurchases, the RBI repurchases the government securities from the bank. The RBI repurchases the government securities from the banks and give back the deposits, give back the deposits along with the interest, along with the interest. The interest, the interest which the RBI pays to the bank, the interest which the RBI pays to the bank is called as is called as reverse repo rate. Reverse repo rate. Okay, if you have understood repo, na, reverse repo is very easy because it's just the opposite of the repo. As you can see here in terms of diagram, everything looks same. Everything looks same, but the only thing is, in case of repo, it is the bank which is repurchasing government security. In reverse repo, it is the RBI which is repurchasing the government security. So, what I would suggest to you is, in your notes, first make a diagram on your own for repo. And then without looking at the board, try to make the same diagram for reverse repo without looking at the board. And you can look at the board only when you have a confusion. Okay. So when you make a diagram by yourself, automatically you'll make it only after you understood it. Okay. So just try making it. बट वहां पे बोरो मनी मत लिखना है यहाँ पे रिवर्स रेपो में लाइक हियर यूल राइट बैंक बोरोज मनी फ्रॉम आरबीआई यहाँ पे ये मत लिखना कि आरबीआई बोरोज मनी फ्रॉम बैंक आरबीआई की जरूरत नहीं है बोरो करने का है ना डू नॉट राइट बोरो देयर Students attending online, any doubts so far? Done? हो गया? Done? No confusion now? आसान है? So next time when you think of reverse repo, you just have to think like this. Whatever is a repo, you just have to reverse it. है ना? Okay. Now the most confusing thing for all the students. That is what I'm going to cover here. Just pay attention. Do not write anything. I'll dictate these things because it's the most confusing thing. Let's concentrate only on the repo. Forget about reverse repo for a time being. Here, with respect to repo, I'm saying, let's say this is the first day. And let's say this is the 14th day. It means what kind of repo we are talking about? We're talking about 14-day repo. Okay. Let's say here, before the first day, bank already had, let's say, 100 rupees. It already had 100 rupees. In spite of having 100 rupees, it wanted to borrow 100 rupees additional. So here, if you see, after the first day, we can say that bank has borrowed 100 rupees. Bank already had 100 rupees before, which means now the total money with the bank kitna hoga? 200 rupees. Clear with this? Okay. Now, once again, let's assume कि बैंक ने कुछ किया नहीं है from 1st to 14th day. Just an assumption. Let's see here. After 14th day, after the 14th day, let's say this particular interest, na, just as an example, let's say repo rate, for example, is equal to 4%. And let's say that this particular interest is also equal to 4%. It has borrowed 100 rupees. So how much interest it should pay? 4 rupees. So after the 14th day, bank returns back 100 rupees plus the interest. Interest is 4. How much money it will pay back? 104. How much money it had at the end of first day? 200. It has paid back 104. So what is the money left with the bank now? The money left with the bank is 96. No confusion? When it started with, how much money the bank had? 100. At the end of this transaction, the bank had 96 rupees left. In between, first day to 14th day, in between, did it had more money or less money? It had more money. So my question to you is very simple. When you see repo, is repo used to inject money, put money, or is repo used to suck out the money? Inject or suck out? Both. क्या होता है? हाँ भरत, क्या लगता है? भरत राइट? हाँ क्या लगता है? बोथ हो सकता है। आरबीआई तो बोलता है नहीं, इट्स नॉट बोथ। इंजेक्ट, बट आफ्टर 14 डे द मनी सप्लाई द बैंक इज रिड्यूसिंग ना, तो वो तो सकआउट कर रहा है आरबीआई तो। ओके ओके ओके, so that's what I wanted to tell you. This is very confusing when you look at the diagram na. Some people will concentrate here as to what is happening after the 14th day. When they see what is happening after the 14th day, the money with the bank is reducing. So that way you can say that the RBI has sucked out the money. But if you see between the first day to 14th day, the money with the bank has increased. Did you understand? Okay. When it comes to repo, always understand you'll come across in economy number of tools you'll come across. In those tools you will come across two legs of transaction. Never ever see what happens after the second leg of the transaction, कभी नहीं देखना है. Understood? Always see what is the immediate effect after the first leg of the transaction. Always. So यहाँ पे after the first leg of the transaction, what is the immediate effect? Money supply in the bank is increasing. ऐसे सोचो नहीं तो. You are the bank and I am the RBI. I am giving you loans under repo. It is injecting or sucking out? Because repo is giving loans, not accepting deposit. Na? So you should not see what is happening at the end of repo. You should see when RBI gives loans, that time what is happening. Clear with that? If you apply the same logic this side, यहाँ पे देखो, bank will have some money with itself here before the first day. Let's say bank had rupees 200. After the first day, bank will deposit 100. Now how much money the bank will have now with itself? It will have 100. But after the 14 day, RBI will pay some interest to the bank na, along with that money. So 200 plus some interest. So if you see what is happening there, you'll think RBI is injecting money. वो नहीं देखना है. You should see here what is RBI doing. RBI is sucking out because RBI is accepting deposits. So please write down. Note after this. Note. Both repo and reverse repo involve two legs of transactions. Both repo and reverse repo involves two legs of transaction. Full stop. One should always see the impact. Immediately after the first leg of the transaction. Immediately after the first leg of the transaction. Next para. Hence, repo is used to inject money. Hence, repo is used to inject money, while reverse repo is used to suck out, while reverse repo is used to suck out excess money. Excess money. Then write relationship between repo and reverse repo. Relationship between repo and reverse repo. Okay. Tell me, during inflation, what will happen to both these two rates? Increase. Simple. Taylor's rule by default. Taylor's rule say during inflation, all the policy rates should increase and all the policy rates should reduce during recession. Let's say this is inflation. People will think like this. There's an inflation. During inflation, RBI is offering more interest if the bank deposit their money with the RBI. One way to see this is, if banks are getting more interest if they deposit money with the RBI, it will encourage the banks to keep more money with the RBI. By doing so, banks will have less money. Money supply will reduce. But some people will think in a wrong manner. कैसे सोचते हैं ना वो लोग? Their logic is RBI is giving them more interest to the bank. If RBI is giving more interest to the bank, they think that the interest is paid to the bank, so उससे क्या होगा? Money supply will increase. वो नहीं देखना है, because that becomes the what leg of the transaction? Second leg of the transaction. I told you should see what happens immediately after the first leg. So यहाँ पे, in this case, you should not see when RBI is giving back the deposits along with the interest, you will think money supply is increasing. You should rather see here. If RBI is offering more interest on the deposits, it will encourage more banks to deposit money with the RBI. Getting it? So next slide. A relationship between repo and reverse repo, right? Both repo and reverse repo are increased. Both repo and reverse repo are increased during inflation and decreased during a recession. Deflation is more related to prices, na? RBI is more focused on the overall growth. So a more appropriate word would be recession, because deflation is very narrow concept. It is mostly related to only the prices. You may have a look here. Bank is accepting deposit. After accepting deposit, it will give out loans. On both these two, there will be a rate of interest. Which one will always be higher? We discussed rate of interest on loans is always higher than the rate of interest on the deposits. You need to apply the same logic there. RBI is accepting deposit and RBI is giving loans. For giving loans, repo rate. For accepting deposit, reverse repo. तो कौन सा rate ज़्यादा रहेगा हमेशा? Repo rate is always more than the reverse repo rate. So write down the next one. Repo rate is always more than the reverse repo rate. Repo rate is always more than the reverse repo rate. If you are able to remember, good enough, or else you can take down this diagram. Next, right, types of reverse repo. Huh? You want to, okay, just take it down. Okay, right, types of reverse repo. Types of reverse repo. Okay. Okay, here under this you can write reverse repo. Reverse repo can be considered as a deposit, as a deposit accepted by RBI, deposit accepted by RBI from the banks. Full stop. The deposits can be accepted. The deposits can be accepted for different duration, can be accepted for different duration at different rate of interest, and at different rate of interest. Depending upon the duration, depending upon the duration, and the interest rate, depending upon the duration and the interest rate, comma, there are two types of reverse repo. There are two types of reverse repo. So basically, we are saying when RBI is accepting deposits from the bank, it may accept deposit for different duration and at different interest rate. Depending upon that, we have two types. It is almost similar to what we covered with respect to repo. Okay? When we say variable rate repo, here once again the duration of variable rate reverse repo could be like 1 day, 7 day, 14 day, 28 days, etc. It will be of different duration. What do you think about rate of interest? Just look at your notes on that variable rate repo. There the rate of interest is decided through auction. Here also the rate of interest is decided through auction. Here RBI will notify two things. Number one, the amount, as well as the duration. RBI will notify two things, amount and duration. बाकी बचा क्या अभी? Interest rate. So RBI will ask in this particular case to the banks. Please pay attention. यहाँ पे क्या पूछ रहा है RBI? In repo, what is RBI asking to the banks? How much interest will you pay me? यहाँ पे RBI is asking the banks, how much interest do you want me to pay you? यहाँ पे I am paying you the interest ना, so I am asking you how much interest you want, like you want me to pay. How much interest will you ask for? 100% क्यों? 200% मांग लो, 1000% मांग लो, है ना? So they will ask for unlimited amount. But RBI is also very clever. RBI will say you cannot ask for interest above a particular limit. कितना हो सकता है वो? हाँ. Earlier, this is what I want to say. Earlier, RBI used to say you cannot ask for interest which is more than reverse repo. But now, from last 2 to 3 years, RBI says you cannot ask for an interest rate which is more than the repo rate. So, यहाँ पे, let's say if I'm RBI, I will always accept deposit from you at a rate which is always below the repo rate. When I give you loan, I will always give you loan at more than repo rate. Accepting deposit is always less than repo. Giving loans is always more than repo. That is why repo is also called as benchmark rate. Remember we discussed in MPC that repo को क्या बोलते हैं? Benchmark. Now you understood why it is called as benchmark. Because RBI will never accept deposits more than repo and it will never give loans below repo. ठीक है? So rate of interest is decided through auction. And here RBI says bid rate cannot be equal to or more than repo rate. Repo rate, like right now it is 5.5%. So example, bank X says pay me a interest of 5.20. Another bank Y says pay me a interest of 5.1 and bank Z says pay me a interest of 5%. Now tell me from which bank should I accept the deposit now? Z, which is asking me to pay the least interest. Exactly. RBI accepts deposits from the lowest bidder. From the lowest bidder, that is bank Z. Under repo it was highest bidder or lowest bidder? Highest. There it was highest, here it is lowest. Arun, some doubt? Okay. ठीक है everyone? Okay, with respect to fixed rate reverse repo, duration of fixed rate reverse repo is equal to 1 day. And if you see the rate of interest used to be same as the existing reverse repo rate. It is same as the existing reverse repo rate. Just compare this with फिक्स रेट रेपो, दोनों में क्या डिफरेंस है? ड्यूरेशन देयर फॉर फिक्स रेट रेपो इट वाज 1 year to 3 year, but we do not have long term reverse repos. Understand, we always have short term reverse repos. Right, note after this. RBI has not introduced long term reverse repos so far. RBI has not introduced long term reverse repos so far. Full stop. Second point, the RBI has discontinued the fixed rate reverse repos. The RBI has discontinued fixed rate reverse repos and replaced them with standing deposit facility. Replace them with standing deposit facility, SDF. Okay. So now we do not have this one. Fixed rate reverse repo, we don't have. Instead of that, we have a new tool which is called as standing deposit facility. So which takes us to the new tool now, SDF. Standing deposit facility. Okay. Right under this, SDF was introduced in 2022. SDF was introduced in 2022 through an amendment to the RBI Act 1934. Through an amendment to the RBI Act 1934. Full stop. It was introduced on the recommendations of Urjit Patel Committee. It was introduced on the recommendations of Urjit Patel Committee. Urjit Patel Committee. Underline that committee's name. Remember, it was the same committee which recommended setting up of MPC. Same committee. Next para. The standing deposit facility enables RBI to accept deposits from the banks without keeping government securities as a collateral. Without keeping government securities as a collateral. Full stop. Hence, SDF is similar to reverse repo. SDF is similar to reverse repo. Full stop. However, in reverse repo, the RBI keeps government securities as collateral. The RBI keeps government securities as collateral, full stop. But it does not keep government securities as collateral. But it does not keep government securities as collateral under SDF. Under SDF. Simple है? Everything is same except the fact that the RBI will not keep government securities. So there's no concept of selling and purchase. It is like you go to SBI, deposit money. After few time, you go back and withdraw the deposit along with the interest. Same way, bank will go to RBI, keep some deposit, and then take back the deposit along with the interest. This is what is SDF. So if I could show you the diagram, it is like this. You can just see the diagram. In reverse repo, I told you, bank will keep cash with the RBI. RBI will keep government security as a collateral with the bank. Later, RBI will repurchase the government security and give back the cash along with the interest. SDF is very sane, very simple, straightforward. Bank will go and deposit money with the RBI and RBI will repay back that money along with the interest. ये arrow mark इस तरफ आना चाहिए. That's it. Or else everything is same. Understood? Okay. We can just make this diagram of SDF. Only the SDF. We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Not worry. I've just told you the basics. In the next part, I'll show you the actual difference. Okay, just make a table. Difference between reverse repo and SDF. Difference between reverse repo and SDF. Okay, just look at this table, everyone. This table shows what exactly is the difference. Just see the purpose behind reverse repo and SDF. Can I say the purpose is same? Both are used for sucking out money. Second, who can actually keep the deposits with the RBI? It includes all the scheduled banks, including RRBs. Remember this because this was asked in prelims 2024 last year. Okay. Then you can see RBI need to provide government security as a collateral here. There RBI is not required to provide any kind of government security. So the fundamental difference is with respect to securities. Maturity, it is always overnight only. When I say overnight only, it means it is always available only for one day. It is not for more than one day. Reverse repo is available at the discretion of RBI. SDF is available at the discretion of the banks. That's it. Is that part clear? Understood? With respect to interest, we'll come to that point. Can you leave some space to incorporate this? I'll share this. I think some of you have a number, right? You have a number? Just I think Varun, we can drop a message and then circulate it because it may take some time to officially share it. You drop a message, I'll share this, but ensure that it is there in your notes. Do not forget. Okay. Okay. Look at the question. Under reverse repo, RBI sells government securities with an agreement to repurchase government securities at a later date. No? Why? RBI or bank? RBI only, na? Huh. A reverse repo is used to suck out liquidity as the RBI accept deposits from the banks. It is used to suck out the excess money. Take your time. फ्लोचार्ट याद आना चाहिए दिमाग में. Increase in reverse repo. Take your time. Do not jump to conclusions. If you want, I said you make a flowchart in your notes. बना लो बना लो. आंसर मिल गया. अनिल, that's what I said. Make a flowchart. Make a flowchart. Make a flowchart, everyone. Flowchart बना लो. Increase in reverse repo. Increase in reverse repo. One or two people are missing, is it? Who? Khushi has stopped coming? अच्छा. हो गया. सौम्या, राइट? हाँ. शो. Good. Anil, got it? What happens? Nothing happens. कुछ तो होना चाहिए. मनी सप्लाई इंक्रीज और डिक्रीज. मनी सप्लाई increases how? Huh. Come again. If reverse repo increases, then what will happen? Bank will deposit more money with the RBI. So that's what I was trying to tell you. You should think like this, na? RBI increases the reverse repo. If RBI increases the reverse repo, then you should say banks deposit more with the RBI. Banks deposit more money with the RBI. Then can I say banks will have less money with themselves, na? If banks have less money with themselves, automatically money supply in the economy will reduce. यहाँ पे I told you should see what happens after the first leg of the transaction, not what happens after the second leg. What you are thinking is after the second leg. You are thinking that RBI will give back the interest because the interest is more, money supply will increase. You should not see what happens after the second leg. समय आया now? क्या बोल रही थी आप? उल्टा ही सोचा था आपने. अभी समझ में आया? एवरीवन? शिवा? ओके. आप यू गॉट इट राइट? चलो गुड. Reverse repo is always higher. Repo is always higher, right? Taylor's rule. Taylor's rule says no matter whatever it is, all the policy rates will increase during inflation, and during recession, all the policy rates will fall. SDF has been introduced through an amendment to the BR Act 1949. It is RBI Act. Under SDF, RBI does not keep government security as a collateral. RBI does not keep any government security. SDF is always lower. Achha, we are not covered SDF. Do not worry. Both reverse upon SDF are increased during inflation and reduced during recession. It does not really matter which policy rates. Increase in SDF is likely to reduce the rate of interest on the loans given at the banks. Work it out. Make a flow chart. Make a flow chart. बना लो हाँ. Make a flow chart for this. Increase in SDF is likely to reduce the rate of interest. हेमंत आप क्या बोल रहे थे? क्या होगा इससे? ट्रू होगा? वर्क इट आउट. Aditya, what do you think it is? Taking time? Okay, take your time. हाँ स्वर्णिम, ट्रू है? आपने फ्लोचार्ट बना लिया? हाँ हाँ बनाओ, तब पता चलेगा आपको. दिखा ना. SDF rate of interest, more deposit RBI. Yeah, good. क्या ट्रू है? तो आपने ट्रू बोल रहा था ना. हाँ आशु. हाँ स्वर्णिम, अभी भी ट्रू है. बनाया आपने फ्लो चार्ट? ऐसे सोचने से नहीं होता है. आई एम टेलिंग यू, वर्क इट आउट. वर्क इट ऑन पीस ऑफ पेपर. हेमंत ने भी वही गलती किया था. ये ऑल्सो द ओपिनियंस आर डिस्कस क्यों कर रहे हैं सब. And then you will realize that it's actually wrong. You got to know what is the problem with you. Acha. Huh? Okay, I'll just keep it very simple here. You should think like this. SDF rate increases. SDF rate increases means banks will keep more deposits with the RBI. If they keep more deposits with the RBI, we can say bank will have less money to give loans. अगर बैंक के पास कम पैसा है लोन देने के लिए, automatically the rate of interest on loans will increase, and hence the money supply will decrease. That's what I said. Clear, Nanil? Generally, when SDF rate increases, right, you must understand along with SDF rate, all other rates also increase. You'll get to know in the next part. So by default, you can say the rate of interest on loans will increase by default. Okay. Tool used by the RBI to inject money into the economy for one day. We are saying inject. अभी तो डिस्कस किया था. What is that? MSF, marginal standing facility. Tool used by the RBI to inject money either for long term or short term. It can be repo. Repo is both long term and short term. Tool used by the RBI to suck out money without keeping government security as a collateral. SDF. Tool used by the RBI to suck out money by selling government securities. Reverse repo. Percentage of deposit which the bank must maintain with the RBI in the form of cash. CRR. ये सब तो आसान है. तो let's summarize what all things we have covered now in one particular page. You have a bank, and let's say you have the RBI. If RBI is depositing money with the, if the bank is depositing money with the RBI, think of it. If this deposit is for 1 day, what is that tool called as? Bank is depositing money with the RBI. बैंक डिपॉजिट कर रहा है, बैंक लोन नहीं ले रहा है. ये क्या है? SDF. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Do not get confused. SDF, because it is depositing. And if the duration is 1 day, 7 day, 14 day, 28 days, etc., देन उसको हम क्या बोलेंगे? रिवर्सिबल. दोनों में फंडामेंटल डिफरेंस क्या है अपार्ट फ्रॉम? यस, कोलैटरल. So here under this SDF, you should write no collateral. And under reverse repo, there is a need of collateral. Now this is what you should make in your notes, so that confusion bilkul hoga for sure. When I started preparing, right, even I was equally confused as you guys. I always used to get confused ki MSF and SDF. SDF was not there. SDF tabhi introduced hua hai. But I used to get confusion between MSF, repo and reverse repo. It is quite natural. You have to have that short notes so that you're able to understand that. If bank is borrowing money from the RBI, with respect to borrowing money, if it is borrowing money for 1 day, and when it borrows money for 1 day using government securities which are part of SLR, then we discuss what is it called as? MSF. And if it is borrowing money for, let's say, 1 day, 7 day, 14 day, 28 day, or 56 day, and if it is using government securities which are in excess of SLR, what kind of repo it is? हाँ, repo तो पता है मुझे. What kind of repo it is, I'm asking. I told you variable rate repo, because right now fixed rate repo तो है ही नहीं ना. Fixed rate repo was introduced only during the COVID time. We call it as variable rate repo. So that is how you should be able to remember the things. And CRR, SLR तो already clear था पहले ही आपको. Done? Okay. Then you can write monetary policy corridor. We consider continuation to this. We are not done that. We'll connect the SDR to the next topic. SDF to the next topic. Monetary policy corridor. Monetary policy corridor. Okay. Let's see what is this monetary policy corridor. Okay. Under this monetary policy corridor, you have three tools, three policies. One is repo, another one is MSF, and the third one is SDF, Standing Deposit Facility. We also call this monetary policy corridor as liquidity adjustment facility, LAF. A question on this has been asked in prelims 2024 already. LAF. What happens here is, in this monetary policy corridor, repo is placed in middle. रेपो को बीच में रखा है कॉरिडोर में. MSF, whatever is the repo rate, MSF is 25 basis points higher than repo, and SDF is always 25 basis points below repo, and this is always equal to whatever is the repo rate. So if you see here, difference between repo and MSF, this is always 25 basis points. Difference between repo and SDF is always 25 basis point, always. So that way, if you see the total width of the corridor, कितना होगा total width यहाँ पे? It will always be equal to 50 basis points, always. So by that logic, I told you right now, if you see repo rate, it is 5.50. That is why MSF will be 5.75 and this one will be 5.25. Always. Next time MPC comes out with a meeting, for example, it is being said MPC may most likely reduce the repo rate. So let's say next MPC meeting, repo rate gets reduced to 5%. MPC does not even have to change MSF and SDF. Automatically, MSF will become 5.25 and this will become 4.75. Automatically. I told you repo को क्या बोलते हैं? Benchmark. Why are we calling repo as benchmark? Because if the repo rate is changed, something else is also getting changed. What is it? MSF and SDF. Another important thing. Prior to COVID होने से पहले, this bottom of the corridor, I told you when was SDF introduced? 2022. So before 2022, something else was here. What is it? Which reverse repo? Fixed rate reverse repo. That's what I said. Fixed rate reverse repo has been replaced with SDF. Right now, if you look at reverse repo rate, it is 3.35, which was fixed in COVID, and अभी तक वो change नहीं हुआ है. Because it does not really matter, because RBI is not accepting deposits from the banks at reverse repo. When RBI is accepting deposits from the bank, RBI says you can deposit your money at a rate which is below the repo rate. And SDF rate is always 25 basis points below repo rate. Clear with that? So please write down. Which one? Okay. I was saying whatever is a repo rate, no matter whatever is the repo rate, it could be 6, 7, 8, whatever it is. By default, MSF will always be 25 basis points higher. I told you 1 basis point is equal to 0.01. 25 basis points higher means 0.25. Always. SDF will always be 25 basis points lower than repo. Like right now, repo rate is 5.50. MSF will be 25 basis points higher, 5.75. This will be 25 basis points below, which is 5.25. Look at the width of the corridor. 5.75 minus 5.25. Width कितना है? No. 5.75 minus 5.25 कितना होगा? 0.50. 0.50 is how much? 50 basis point. So when I'm saying 50 basis points width means upper limit and lower limit gap is always 50. This is how RBI has kept it. Here also, how much is the difference? 5.25 minus 4.75. It is once again 50. Understood? Okay. Take this down. Right under this. Under the monetary policy corridor, under the monetary policy corridor, full stop, the repo is placed in the middle. Under the monetary policy corridor, repo is placed in middle. Full stop. MSF is placed 25 basis points above repo. MSF is placed 25 basis points above repo. And SDF is placed 25 basis points below repo. SDF is placed 25 basis points below repo. Full stop. Thus, the width of the corridor, in the bracket, right? The difference between MSF and SDF. Thus, the width of the corridor in the bracket, difference between MSF and SDF bracket close is always maintained at 50 basis points. Is always maintained at 50 basis points in the bracket 0.50. Next line, next para. The repo rate the repo rate is changed by the MPC. The repo rate is changed by the MPC, full stop. Accordingly, MSF and SDF would also change. Would also change. Note after this, in 2022, in 2022, comma, SDF has replaced in 2022, comma, SDF has replaced fixed rate reverse repo. Fixed rate reverse repo in the monetary policy corridor. In the monetary policy corridor. Clear है? Okay. Next, right? Under the note itself, next note, in 2022, the RRBs, remember we covered a category of banks called as regional rural banks. In 2022, the RRBs were given access to LAF, were given access to LAF in the bracket repo, MSF and SDF. What do you mean by given access to LAF means? मतलब क्या है इसका? They can borrow money from RBI under repo and MSF and they can deposit money with the RBI under SDF. ये पहले नहीं था उनको. It was in 2022 they are given this kind of freedom. That is why in prelims 2024 we had this question about RRBs. Everyone a second now. Always one day. It does not change. In the table it was there. In the table which I showed you, no? It's always one day. It is almost, it's like saying, ऐसे सोचो, banks want to borrow money for one day. MSF. Banks want to deposit money for one day. Then SDF. ऐसे सोचो. It's much easier. Mostly it has become redundant now. Reverse repo. What has become more important is SDF. Okay. All of you just have a look at this table. I've just summarized the entire discussion of ours so far. जो कुछ भी हमने discuss किया था, right? You can see MSF, repo, reverse repo and SDF. I have highlighted everything. There's only one tool, not so important, but even if you get a question, you should be able to answer it. You can just see the first tool, SLF, Standing Liquidity Facility. Let's see what it is. Number one, it is used for injecting money. It means it is similar to your repo. It is used for injecting money. But can you see? It is same as repo. But the only thing is, repo is available for all the banks and primary dealers. Remember we covered eco-ware participants, na? But SLF is applicable or it can be used only by stand-alone primary dealers. In primary dealer, we discussed there are two types of primary dealer. One is bank primary dealer and the other one is stand-alone primary dealer. Stand-alone primary dealer means they don't have the license of a bank, but their only role is to purchase the government securities from the RBI in the primary market. I must have given you examples such as ICICI Securities, Kotak Securities, right? So we call them as stand-alone primary dealers. Only for those standalone primary dealers, if they want to borrow money, then they can borrow money under SLF, Standing Liquidity Facility. Otherwise, nothing else is important about this. What I've done, basically whatever I've covered, I have put it in a form of a table so that you are able to, revise it much faster. Just before the exam, instead of revising all that, whatever 10 pages notes that you have done, you can just look at this particular one pager about all the tools. Okay? I'll share this. Ensure that in whatever way it is possible, you want to take a printout and put it. You have time, you make a table. From here, you put it into your notes, but ensure that it is part of your notes. You may not understand its importance, but जैसे जैसे prelims पास आएगा, आप मुझे याद करना स्टार्ट करोगे. एंड मैं नहीं चाहता हूं कि आप मुझे याद करो उस टाइम पे, बिकॉज बाय देन यू शुड हैव योर ओन नोट्स रेडी फॉर इट. Getting it? Okay. So ensure that is part of your notes. Fine. Next tool, bank rate. Next tool is bank rate. What happened? You have some. No, she has something. Okay. How did it happen? Pen. Okay. I think it won't go. You can just. चलो, we take a break. हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल. We'll take a break of 5 minutes and then come back. Okay. So you can write on the next tool. The next tool is bank rate. And please leave some space to incorporate this part. Okay. When you see RBI, earlier, what used to happen? When I say earlier means before 2000, RBI used to give loans to the banks through the bank rate. So bank rate was like a tool used by the RBI to give loans to the banks. Something similar to what we used to have now, that is repo rate as well as MSF. Almost similar. But now, if you see, bank rate is no longer used to give loans. RBI is no longer using the bank rate to give loans. Bank rate has now become the penal rate. When I say penal rate means it's a penalty rate. Just open your notes and just check about CRR and SLR, cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio. In your notes, we discussed what happens if the bank is unable to maintain CRR and SLR. Did you find it? What happens? It have to pay a penalty which is 3% above what? Bank rate. है ना? So bank rate has now become a penal rate. It means bank rate acts as a penalty rate of interest if banks fail to maintain CRR and SLR. So why it got discontinued and all those things, that's a history. Do not worry about it. Okay? Right? Okay, just take it down. Note, note, in UPSC prelims, note in UPSC prelims, interpret bank rate, interpret bank rate as interpret bank rate as repo rate. Interpret bank rate as repo rate. Unless and otherwise. Unless and otherwise. Unless and otherwise, the question highlights about penal rate of interest. Unless and otherwise, the question highlights about the penal rate of interest. Okay. Just look at this question. I'll come to that part, whatever your notes you have highlighted. Just look at this question asked in prelims 2013. It says an increase in bank rate generally indicates that. When you read this question, based upon what we have covered, the thought process you will get is what will happen if the penalty rate of interest increases? And if you're trying to answer this question based upon the penalty rate of interest, you'll get stuck. You'll not be able to get the right answer. You have to think of bank rate as what? Repo rate here. So if the increase in repo rate generally indicates that central bank is following what policy? Tight monetary policy. That is how you need to interpret. The problem is somehow for very strange reason यूपीएससी को लगता है कि बैंक रेट अभी भी यूज हो रहा है. I don't know why they think so, or the person who is framing the question thinks that bank rate is still used by RBI to give loans to the banks, which means the person who is framing the question might be still in earlier 2000, जो पहले जो चलता था. So the new concept of bank rate being a penal rate of interest is not yet understood. So because the question itself is wrong, we have to understand it in a wrong manner to get the right answer. Did you understand? So see this question also. If the RBI decides to adopt a expansionist monetary policy, when we say expansionary, what should happen to policy rates? Policy rates should reduce. Expansionary means policy rates should reduce. So cut, yes, this is wrong. And this says cut, यहाँ पे क्या है? So you'll think penalty rate of interest को क्यों कम करना है? Bank rate, you'll think it is a penalty rate of interest. Why should the penalty rate of interest reduce? But I told you, do not think of bank rate like a bank rate. That is, do not think of as a penalty rate. Think of it as a repo rate. So that is why it becomes correct. And look at the question. The question is asked in 2020. 20 साल हो गए हैं. Bank rate is no longer used now. But still UPSC is asking such questions. Clear? Okay. Next, right? Next para. Bank rate is always equal to. Bank rate is always equal to MSF. Bank rate is always equal to MSF. In the bracket, 25 basis points above repo. Bank rate is always equal to MSF. In the bracket, 25 basis points above repo. I think it's clear. So if repo rate is changed, what all things are changing? MSF gets changed, then SGF gets changed. And because MSF gets changed, what else will also get changed? Bank rate. Because bank rate is always equal to MSF. Clear? Okay. Next, right? Next tool, open market operations. Open market operations / sterilization operations. open market operations slash sterilization operations. Sterilization. Okay, right? OMOs involve OMOs involve outright outright purchase, outright purchase and sale, outright purchase or sale of government securities, outright purchase or sale of government securities by the RBI. So basically, it's like saying RBI is either purchasing government securities or RBI is selling government securities. Either of these two. RBI either क्या कर रहा है, purchase कर रहा है, or RBI is selling government securities to the bank. That is what we call it as OMO. How is it different from repo? All of you see your repo ka diagram. हाँ, all of you see the repo diagram. In the repo diagram, how many legs of transactions you'll find? Two. It's like saying if I'm RBI, na, in repo, sorry, let's think of reverse repo. Look at reverse repo leg. Reverse repo. If I am RBI, there's a first leg where I will sell government security. After selling government security, the same government security I will repurchase. So sell is followed by repurchase. But OMO, there's no concept of repurchase. It is sell or purchase. That's it. There's only one leg of transaction. So just concentrate here. In OMO, it's like saying, okay, it's there already. There is RBI. RBI will purchase, buy government securities. After buying government securities, RBI will inject money into the economy. When will it inject money? Whenever there is a kind of slowdown or recession. So whenever there is a slowdown, it will buy and inject money. Same way, when there is inflation, RBI will sell government securities and suck out the money. Did you understand? It's actually easy. It's probably the most easiest tool. सबसे आसान टूल है. In CRR, SLR, there are so many things to remember. यहाँ पे बस फ्लो चार्ट अगर आपको याद है, that is more than sufficient. ठीक है? Okay. Take this down. What happened? What happened, Vaishali? ठीक है, ओके. Okay, all of you just have a look at this question. Prelims 2013. Open market operations refers to purchase and sale of government securities by the RBI. It's easy. Answer here is C. Next, Prelims 2023. Which one of the following activities of RBI is considered to be sterilization? We discuss it is conducting OMO. Just take your time. Prelims 2012, and do not be overconfident. Make a diagram and then try to find out the right answer. Did we cover this question before? कवर नहीं किया? चलो ठीक है. Try to make diagram for this and tell me the answer. Here you are required to find out which of this will lead to increase in the money supply in the economy. Make a diagram. Only then you'll get. I'm telling you. You think कि घूरने से आंसर मिलेगा, बिल्कुल नहीं मिलेगा. You make a diagram. Done, Bharat? Okay. Make a diagram. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Make a diagram. Only then. Surname? Vaishali? Okay. Hemant? Shiva? One only. Aditya? C? Somay? One only, not three. Huh. Still taking. Okay, take your time. Okay. Like I said, when you get stuck, the best way to find out the answer is make a flow chart or make a diagram, like the way I make the diagram, because that's the most easiest way to know the answer. Like here, if you see the first one, purchase of government securities from the public by the central bank. You have central bank, you have public. Central bank is purchasing government securities. Obviously, when you purchase government securities, in return, you will pay money. ऐसे सोचना है ना? So obviously, this will lead to increase in the money. Deposit of the currency in the commercial banks by the public. You have public, they go deposit currency with the bank. If they deposit currency with the bank, what is the most immediate effect? Money supply with the public will decrease. Immediate effect देखना है. यहाँ पे ये वाला लॉजिक नहीं लगाना है कि लोग जाके डिपॉजिट कर रहे हैं, बैंक फिर से वो लोन देगा तो वो लोन इंक्रीज होगा. वो लॉजिक नहीं लगाना है. इमीडिएट इफेक्ट देखना है. सो इमीडिएटली दिस विल reduce. Borrowing by the government from the central bank. You have central bank. It gives money to the government. Samay, what do you think? It will not increase money supply? Surname, you said it will increase money supply. Why? Why do you think it will not increase? Surname is right. Na? He says when the government borrows money, गवर्नमेंट तो स्पेंड करेगा, स्पेंड करने से मनी सप्लाई तो इंक्रीज होगा, राइट? हाँ शिवा, you also said one only. Why do you think three will not lead to increase money supply? Hmm. हाँ, so he has a very valid question. I think you also had a similar question. The question that you must be having in your mind is government is borrowing money. It only says borrowing. It does not say spending. But यहाँ पे you have to have that kind of a kind of assumption that if government borrows money, government will borrow money to spend only. Government never borrows money to keep money with itself. It is not like public depositing currency with the bank. Here you can very well counter argue me. So यहाँ पे भी public is depositing currency with the bank. Bank will always give loan, and this will also lead to increased money supply. You could argue with me. But what is a guarantee that bank will give loans? Not so much guarantee, na? But agar government is borrowing money, for sure the government will spend that particular money. And understand always, if central government is borrowing money from RBI, we covered this is called as monetization of deficit. Monetization of deficit is considered to be the most inflationary in its effect. सबसे ज्यादा inflation उसी से होता है. So even third one is also right. Sale of government securities to the public. Central bank here is selling government securities, but selling government securities it will take out the money. So obviously this is wrong. So the right answer 1 and 3. Understood? Okay. Let's move to the next one. Next, right? Okay, I'll just show you here. 131. I must have showed you these tools, right? In these tools, we have covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this we are not covered, right? Long-term repo operations, something same as fixed rate repos only, that we covered long-term. We have covered this, we have covered this, we have covered this. What else is remaining now is Forex swap is pending. Then market stabilization scheme is pending. Operation twist and GSAP. But to understand these remaining tools, you are also required to understand the concept of rupee appreciation and rupee depreciation. Unless you don't know what is appreciation, depreciation, you will not be able to understand the remaining tools. So we are going to diverge from the tools. We will quickly cover what do you mean by depreciation, what is appreciation, why does it happen, and then we'll come back to these tools. And understand appreciation, depreciation is a separate topic that we will be covering in much greater detail in the chapter of external sector. Here we'll get into appreciation and depreciation only to the extent of understanding the tools. That's it. Clear? Okay. So right, exchange rate management. Exchange rate management. Exchange rate management. Okay, all of you just pay attention here. सबसे पहले concentrate here. Let's assume a scenario where $1 is equal to rupees 30. In simple words, it's like saying to get $1, you have to pay 30 rupees. From $1 is equal to 30, it might become $1 is equal to 60. It's like saying to get $1, you are paying 60. Or from $1 is equal to 30, it might become $1 is equal to 15. All of you have heard of two terms, appreciation and depreciation. Do not say anything. Take your time. Individually, I'll ask you, you have to tell me what it is. Okay? Let's say earlier $1 was equal to rupees 30. Now $1 is 60. My question to you is very simple. What is this? Is it rupee appreciation or rupee? Take your time. Is it rupee appreciation or depreciation? Take your time. Individually, I'll ask you because it's the most important thing. अगर ये वाला पता चल गया तो rest of the things are easy. Sure. Depreciation. Somya. Hemant. Anil. Why it is depreciation? Bharat. तो क्यों बोलते हैं? So depreciation क्यों बोलते हैं? That is my question. पर $1 तो अभी 60 हो गया ना, तो ऐसा नहीं देखना है. दैट्स व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग. मोस्टली व्हाट पीपल विल थिंक, अच्छा $1 30 था तो $1 60 हो गया तो रुपये का वैल्यू बढ़ गया. दैट इज नॉट हाउ यू शुड सी. यू शुड आस्क योरसेल्फ लाइक दिस, टू गेट $1 I used to pay 30. To get the same $1 now I am paying 60. तो किसका वैल्यू बढ़ गया है? डॉलर का वैल्यू बढ़ गया है ना. डॉलर हैज अप्रिशिएटेड. If dollar has appreciated means rupee value has depreciated. That is how we should ask. $1 is equal to 30 to $1 is equal to 15. To get $1, earlier you used to pay 30. To get the same $1, you are paying 15. You are paying less to get dollar. So what has happened to dollar value? Dollar value has reduced and rupee value has increased, appreciated. This is how you need to find out. It's the most easiest thing. Okay, so do not go by numbers. Where people go wrong na, they look by numbers. Like they say $1 30 से 60 हुआ तो रुपये का वैल्यू बढ़ गया. Don't go by the number. Ask yourself, how much was I paying to get $1 before and how much am I paying now to get the same dollar? Okay. Now look at that question. One apple was 30. Now one apple is 60. So what does it mean? Whose value has increased? Apple value has increased. If apple value has increased, so what has happened to rupee value? Rupee value has, वहां पे हम नहीं बोलेंगे depreciation vis-a-vis apple. We'll say decrease in the purchasing power of rupee. Decrease in value of rupee. Same logic, this side we'll say increase in value of apple, or sorry, decrease in value of apple or increase in value of rupee. Now think of it. Why do you think apple का value कम होगा? Why will apple value reduce here? Remember we covered the inflation and deflation. Apple value will reduce because we have surplus apple. Surplus apple, two reasons. One, probably the demand for apple has got reduced or supply of apple has increased. Clear? Same logic, that side you can see. We say cost. Why has apple value increased? Apple value has increased because there's a shortage of apple. Clear yahan tak? Okay. Now take your time. यहां पे देखो, here, look at this. We say dollar value has increased or rupee value has decreased. Why this will happen? Why will this happen? Why will rupee value fall? Can you see here? Why will Apple value increase? Apple value increase because there's a shortage of Apple. If Apple is less, then the value of Apple will increase. Can I apply the same logic here as well? Same logic. I'm not doing anything exceptional. Same logic. I will say the just like how you could have a shortage of Apple, you could have a shortage of dollar. And that shortage of dollar may be because dollar demand has increased or dollar supply has reduced. That's it. Why will demand increase and supply reduce? We'll discuss that. Do not worry about it. I'm just giving you a bird's eye view. Supply, we'll come to that. Supply of dollar will reduce. This side. Why will there is, यहाँ पे मैंने एप्पल लिख दिया. So यहाँ पे shortage of surplus of dollar. There has to be surplus of dollar. Surplus of dollar because there's decrease in demand for dollar or increase in supply of dollar. Samay. Okay, I'm just giving you a bird's eye view. Do not worry. Now we are going to take a deep dive into the topic of rupee depreciation and appreciation. But I wanted to make you understand that whenever you think of depreciation and appreciation, if you're getting confused, replace dollar with Apple. Your life will become easy. Replace dollar with Apple. Just remember this diagram. If you say like this, ऐसा सोचना है आपको. Rupee depreciation. Rupee depreciation means dollar appreciation. Rupee depreciation means dollar appreciation. And ask yourself, dollar value increased. Why will dollar value increase? Because dollar is in shortage. Why is dollar in shortage? Number one, demand for dollar has increased or supply of dollar has reduced. It is like thinking of dollar like a apple. That's it. Same way, if rupee value has appreciated, it means dollar value has depreciated. And you should ask yourself, why will value of Apple fall? Surplus dollars. That's it. Okay? Just leave some space to incorporate this and then make a heading. Rupee depreciation. Rupee depreciation. Rupee depreciation. Put a hyphen. Meaning cause. Meaning cause effects. Meaning cause effects and steps needed. Meaning cause effect and steps needed. Okay, right here. Meaning rupee depreciation refers to a decrease in the value of rupee. Rupee depreciation refers to decrease in the value of rupee with respect to foreign currencies. With respect to foreign currencies such as dollar, euro, pound, yen, yuan, etc. Okay, So when we say rupee depreciation, na, it is not just with respect to dollar. It can be with respect to any of the foreign currency. It can be with respect to dollar, euro, pound, yen, yuan. But by default, among all the foreign currencies which I have dictated, you know the most dominant foreign currency is dollar. So by default, when we say rupee depreciation, it means rupee value has fallen with respect to dollar. But not necessarily always dollar, it can be other currencies also. Is that clear? For example, continue. For example, change in exchange rate. For example, change in exchange rate from $1 is equal to 30 to $1 is equal to 60. For example, change in exchange rate from $1 is equal to 30 to $1 is equal to 60. Next para. This means that to purchase $1, this means that to purchase $1, earlier 30 rupees was needed. Earlier 30 rupees was needed. Full stop. However, now 60 rupees is needed. However, now 60 rupees is needed. Full stop. This means that more rupees are needed. This means that more rupees are needed to purchase dollars. To purchase dollars. Hence, it is referred to as depreciation. Hence, it is referred to as depreciation. Right? Causes. Okay. Think of it. Now, this is India. You must understand, because of some transactions that we do, dollar is coming into India. Dollar inflows. Because of some transactions that we do, dollar may go out of India, outflow. Okay. Like one example of how dollar may come into India is when we actually export goods. When we export goods to other countries will pay us in terms of dollars. Same way, when we import goods from other countries, we would have to pay them in terms of dollars. So this is one major way. और कौन 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 से हो सकते हैं जिससे कि डॉलर आ सकता है या जा सकता है? एनआरआई डिपॉजिट्स आ सकता है. Okay. One apart from this, can I also say, for example, you could have inflow of foreign tourists into India. When foreign tourists come into India, they actually get dollars. That dollar they will exchange it to rupees and then spend it. Same way, we could also have a inflow of foreign investment such as FDI. Okay. Or there could also be a inflow of remittances into India. People are working in other countries, a part of their income they are sending it back. If these transactions are leading to inflow, can I say the same transaction can also lead to outflow? Like एक चीज हो सकता है outflow, yes, outflow of Indian tourist. If we go abroad to other countries, we'll obviously take dollars from us, from India, outflow. Or you could say, even we can make investment outside India, outflow of foreign investment. Or there could be even outflow of remittances. Like you have certain people from other countries working in India, they might send their money. है ना? Okay. Please understand, I told you the logic here is, if you see the rupee depreciation, rupee depreciation का main cause क्या है? Main cause is there is increase in the value of dollar, है ना? So I'll write it in another manner like this. Okay, rupee depreciation. Rupee depreciation, like we said, it is basically decline in the value of rupee. If the rupee value has declined, what has happened to value of dollar? Yes, increase in the value of dollar. Why has dollar value increased? Dollar value has increased because there is a shortage of dollar. शॉर्टेज ऑफ डॉलर किस लिए हो सकता है? लुकिंग एट इनफ्लो एंड आउटफ्लो. Outflow is more than the inflow. Did you understand? So if outflow of dollar greater than the inflow of dollar, then there will be shortage of dollar. Shortage of dollar means dollar value will increase, rupee value will fall, so it will lead to rupee depreciation. So look at the diagram, outflow and inflow mein. What factors will lead to rupee depreciation? If our imports have increased or our exports have decreased. समझ में आ रहा है? Just take down this diagram, then I'll dictate. वैशाली आप कुछ सोच रही हो, कहीं पे स्टक हो? श्योर? Okay, right? Hence, rupee depreciation may be caused due to following factors. Hence, rupee depreciation can be caused due to the following factors. Number one, increase in imports. Increase in imports. Second, decrease in exports. Decrease in exports. Third, outflow of foreign tourist. Outflow of foreign tourist higher than in outflow of Indian tourist. Outflow of Indian tourist higher than inflow of foreign tourist. Third, outflow of foreign investment. Outflow of Indian investment. Just change it. Outflow of Indian investment. Outflow of Indian investment higher than inflow of foreign investment. Outward remittances. Next one, outward remittances higher than inward remittances. Outward remittances higher than the inward remittances. Okay. So this is how you need to know. Okay. I hope you got to know why the rupee value will depreciate. Now it's like saying an example. Let's say suddenly Russia-Ukraine war has started. If Russia-Ukraine war starts, what will happen to the cost of petrol and diesel, crude oil? It will increase, and if the cost of crude oil increase, our imports will become increase. Our imports will increase, so automatically rupee value will depreciate. Understood? Suddenly, if Trump decides to impose reciprocal tariffs on India, it will make it difficult for us to export our goods to US. Our exports will fall, so automatically rupee value will depreciate. So they are how rupee value is determined. No one is actually fixing the value of rupee. The value of rupee is fixed at a global level through market forces of demand and supply. So you understood the cause, right? Next, right? Effect. Effect on imports and exports. Effect on imports and exports. Now, this is the most important thing. What is its effect on imports and exports? Let's see here. Earlier, $1 was equal to 30. Now, $1 is equal to 60. Let's see what is its effect on a exporter and what is its effect on a importer from India. Okay, think of it like this. Now this is how you should try to ask yourself and get the answer. Whenever you're thinking of effect on exporter and importer, you put yourself into a shoe of a exporter. You put yourself into a shoe of a importer, and then you'll get the right answer. I will think like this. I am an exporter. I am exporting this marker to US. You are in US. Okay? You are in US. I'm exporting this marker, assuming that the cost of this marker is $1. I'm exporting to you guys. You will pay me $1. है ना? You will give me $1. When I get $1, I am in India. I cannot use that $1 to purchase goods and services. What will I do with that $1 is I'll go to the bank. I will give $1 to the bank, and bank will give me equivalent value of rupees at the prevailing exchange rate. So earlier, when you guys used to give me $1, I used to go to the bank. Bank used to give me 30 rupees. Now, when you purchase this marker, you are still giving me $1. But now that $1, if I go to the bank, bank is giving me 60 rupees. Understood? So tell me, should I be happy or sad about it? I should be very happy because I'm getting more in terms of rupees. I'm getting more in terms of rupees. You think like this. You are paying me in terms of dollar. You are paying me in terms of dollar. अगर रुपी डिप्रिसिएशन हो रहा है तो डॉलर का वैल्यू क्या हो गया? डॉलर का वैल्यू बढ़ गया. तो यू आर पेइंग मी डॉलर हुज वैल्यू हैज इंक्रीज. सो आई एम ए विनर और लूजर? आई एम ए विनर. ऐसे सोचना है. I hope you understood. It's like saying you are giving me $1. Earlier also you are giving me $1. Now also you give me $1. What has happened to value of $1 when you are giving me later? It was 30. $1 is equal to 30. Now $1 is equal to 60. So what has happened to value of dollar? Value of dollar has increased. So I am getting that $1, na? So if you're giving me a dollar whose value has increased, means it's good for me. है ना? It's like I gave you, earlier you used to give me 1 gram gold. Now also you're giving me 1 gram gold. 1 gram gold you gave me before Diwali festival. 1 gram gold you are giving me after Diwali festival. After Diwali, what will likely to happen to value of gold? Increase. Even though you're giving me only 1 gram gold, later when you're giving me 1 gram gold, that value is much higher than what it used to be before. समझ में आया? Everyone is clear? If you're getting confused, once again I'm telling you, put yourself into a shoe of a exporter. Think yourself like an exporter, then you'll get it. Why would it increase? Okay, let's put yourself in that. Let's say you are a person in US. ठीक है? Earlier, इस particular product को खरीदने के लिए, how much rupees were you paying? How much rupees you are paying? 30. So for that, how much dollar we are paying? $1. Now $1 can get you how much? 60. Instead of purchasing 1 marker, how many markers can you purchase now? 2 markers. So you are also winner, na? ऐसे सोचो ना. If you are in US, all of you just put yourself in the shoe of a person in US. Think of it. You were in US, you used to pay $1. By paying $1, how much rupee you used to get? 30 rupees. And with 30 rupees, you used to purchase this marker. Now you have $1. If you convert $1 into rupees, how much you'll get? 60. With the same 60, how many markers can you purchase? 2 markers now. But do not, ये ज़्यादा confusing है. ये मत सोचना. Because you are an Indian, you are not a US. ये ज़्यादा confusing है. That's why I don't explain this to students. कभी मत सोचना. See it from the perspective of a person who is exporting. Because you are an Indian. ये is the most easiest thing to understand. Understood? Everyone? Okay. Same. Let's see, I am an importer now. Think very carefully. I am an importer. I am importing this marker from you. आपसे import कर रहा हूँ. You are in US. Earlier for this marker, I used to pay $1. Now also I am paying $1. Obviously, I don't have dollar in my pocket. I have to go and get the dollar from the bank. I will go to bank. To get $1, I'll ask the person, how much rupees should I give you to get $1? He says 30. After that, I go to the bank. I say, how much money should I give you to get $1? He says 60. Can I say I'm paying more to get rupees now? So when I used to import this marker, I used to pay 30. Now I am paying 60. It has become more costlier, more expensive for me to import the marker. समझ में आया everyone? कोई confusion नहीं है? Okay. So here with respect to exports, you should write like this. Exporters earn more in terms of rupees upon exporting goods. Exporters earn more in terms of rupees upon exporting goods. For example, earlier exporter used to get $1 upon converting into rupees. He would have got rupees 30. Now exporter export now exporter gets $1. Exporter gets $1 upon converting into rupees. He would get rupees 60. Exporters benefit. Exporters benefit. Okay. What do you think will happen to importers? Importers will get adversely affected, right? Importers have to pay more in terms of rupees to import goods, which means imports will become more costly. Why will import become more costly? Because importer is purchasing goods at a higher price. He will pass on that burden to the end consumer. Imports will become more costly. And if imports become more costly, the problem here is it may lead to the problem of imported inflation. It may lead to the problem of imported inflation. Okay, I'll just give you a simple example. Let's say you go to this particular restaurant in ORN to have your dinner. Suddenly, one fine day, the restaurant owner says the thali is now 150 rupees instead of 100 rupees. He has increased it by 50 rupees. So you ask him, why did you increase the price of thali? He will say that the price of vegetables has increased. As a civil service aspirant, you will go back and think, ki, what has happened that price of vegetable has increased? You'll try to find out why has the price of vegetable increased. You'll get to know that the price of vegetable has increased because there is an increase in the price of petrol and diesel. Next, obviously you'll ask कि पेट्रोल का दाम क्यों बढ़ गया है. Then you will get to know petrol price has increased because we are importing crude oil at a higher price. You'll get to know कि we are importing crude oil at a higher price. You'll ask yourself, why are we importing crude oil at a higher price? It's because the rupee value has depreciated. For example, earlier for 1 barrel of crude oil, just an example, let's say 1 liter of crude oil, it was $1. Now also it is $1, just as an example. Okay? But if I am an importer, I used to pay 30 rupees to get 1 liter of crude oil. Now to get the same 1 liter of crude oil, I am paying 60. I am importer, I am paying more. Obviously, I will sell petrol and diesel also at a higher cost. So obviously, we'll try to find out कि ऐसा क्या हुआ है कि rupee value depreciate हुआ है. You will get to know that suddenly in the international market, there is a shortage of crude oil. Because the shortage of crude oil, it may have so happened that the crude oil prices have shot up. If the prices of crude oil has shot up, obviously what will happen? Our our rupee value will depreciate. Finally, you will try to find out ki what has happened ki crude oil price have increased. कुछ ना कुछ reason हो सकता है. You'll get to know that crude oil price has increased because Putin has started a war against Ukraine. Then connect the dots. It's like saying in simple words, Putin starts a war against Ukraine. There's a shortage of crude oil. Crude oil prices increase. Rupee value depreciates. Import of crude oil into India become more costly. Because crude oil is an input for manufacturing petrol and diesel prices increase. Petrol and diesel is used for transportation of fruits and vegetables. The prices of vegetables increase. And the price of vegetables increase, the thali in ORN will increase. देखो कहाँ से कहाँ लिंक हो रहा है. Putin is responsible for your increase in thali price. That is how the world is interconnected actually. Understood? So this is how the rupee value will have an adverse effect. What is the role of RBI? RBI's role is to control inflation. No matter however it is, here also there is a possibility of inflation. RBI should control inflation. But why is inflation caused here? क्या reason है? Main reason. Value of rupee has fallen. Value of rupee has fallen. So what should RBI do to control that? RBI के हाथ में तो नहीं है ना वो. RBI के हाथ में तो नहीं है कि RBI बोलेगा नहीं नहीं अभी रिपोर्ट मत करो. वो तो गवर्नमेंट करेगा. Okay, I'll just put it in a flow chart. I'm just going to connect all the dots. Just pay attention now. You have written effects already. ये लिख लिया. Last steps needed. Steps needed. Steps needed. Okay. I'm going to write an entire flow chart here. Think of it. Imports increase. exports decrease, because of which outflow of dollars is higher than inflow of dollars, and because of this there will be dollar appreciation. Dollar appreciation means rupee value will undergo depreciation. If rupee value undergoes depreciation, imports may become costly, leading to imported inflation. So RBI will take some steps. RBI will take some steps. What is that core step which the RBI has to take? Okay, think of it. If you see here, outflow is more than the inflow. Dollar value has appreciated. Dollar appreciation due to what? Due to shortage of dollars. Let's say it's like saying price of rice and wheat ka price has increased because there is shortage of rice and wheat. How do you reduce the price of rice and wheat? सप्लाई बढ़ाने से. कैसे सप्लाई बढ़ाओगे राइस एंड व्हीट का? FCI maintains buffer stock of rice and wheat. From that buffer stock, FCI will sell rice and wheat. Here, what we should do? What should RBI do? Sell what? RBI should sell dollars. RBI will sell dollars. But from where will RBI sell the dollar? What is that buffer of the RBI called as? Forex reserves. RBI maintains a buffer called as forex reserves. From that buffer, RBI will sell the dollars. Is that part clear? Okay. So what will RBI do here is RBI sells dollar from the forex reserves. In the, we have a separate market called as the forex market. In the forex market, RBI will sell the dollar. So the diagram here is something like this. You have RBI and you have the banks. So what RBI does? RBI will sell dollars. By selling dollars, RBI क्या करेगा? When it is selling dollar, it has to take out something from the banks, ना? मुफ्त पे तो नहीं लेगा. It's not securities. It is actually rupees. It will give dollars and take rupees from them. Now think, after this leg of the transaction is done, what will happen to supply of rupees with the banks? Supply of rupees with the banks will decrease. So what will happen to value of rupee? Value of rupee will increase. Okay, so यहाँ पे supply of rupees decreases, and this we call it as rupee value will increase. And this side, because RBI is selling dollar, we could say supply of dollars will increase. As the supply of dollar increases, we could say that the dollar value will decrease. Samaya, write a last note. Here, the value of rupee increases. Here, the value of rupee increases due to RBI's intervention. Here, the value of rupee increases due to RBI's intervention. Full stop. This increase in value of rupee, due to RBI's intervention, this increase in value of rupee due to RBI's intervention is called as rupee revaluation. Rupee revaluation. Underline revaluation. Okay, next para. Both appreciation and revaluation, refer to increase in the value of rupee. Both appreciation and revaluation refers to increase in the value of rupee. Full stop. If the value of rupee increases, due to market forces of demand and supply, if the value of rupee increases due to market forces of demand and supply, comma, it is called as appreciation. It is called as appreciation. Full stop. On the other hand, if the value of rupee increases due to RBI's intervention, comma, then it is called as revaluation. You understood the difference? अगर automatically बढ़ रहा है, then we call it as appreciation. अगर RBI is increasing the value of rupee, then we call it as revaluation. Fine so far? Okay, so in the next class, we'll start with the appreciation wala part. Fine? Is it possible for you to come half an hour early? Instead of extending the class after 8, is it, because no matter what, you have to sit with me for additional half an hour. Either you want to sit it after 8 or before 5. You have optional classes? What time is the optional class? कब खत्म होता है? 7:30? फालतू? So 4:45 at least. See, I need to complete a syllabus, right? And because I need to complete a syllabus, there are two possibilities: either after 8 or before 5. Before 5 is better. Okay. So next time, I think we have a class on Friday, right? So I'll just talk to the admin team also, and based upon that, I will let you know the timing. Okay. Thank you so much. Huh?